Hello, 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 everyone. Good evening. Happy Tuesday to you. And welcome to another segment of Voices of Empowerment with Dr. B. I am Dr. B, Dr. Bianca Miss B. Lee. I am a licensed professional personal counselor. I am a life and purpose coach, master life and purpose coach. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. I'm a spiritual teacher and mentor. I am also a conjure woman. I am a astrologer. I am a reader. I am all of the things indwelling in healing. Okay, healing, growing, aligning, elevating, expanding. Yeah, and showing, demonstrating, tapping into, aligning with who you actually are, your true self, your always have been self versus the self that you have been conditioned and programmed and believed yourself to be. That is who I am. And I thank you for joining me here on Voices of Empowerment with Dr. B. We, every Tuesday and every Sunday, collectively read through a book that has been introduced to us, and we've been introduced to it. And I absolutely love it here. Okay. We're reading through the amazing book, Caste, The Origins of Our Discontents. And it is authored by Isabel Wilkerson. They depicted a movie from this book. It's called Origins. If you have not saw the movie, it's really, 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 really good. But as per usual, the book is definitely better. It's better because it's more informative. She gives the backstory. They do a really, really good job in Origins. In fact, Origins movie really was very provocative. It really, really incited a lot of conversations post airing, post the release. Okay, and you got a good project when it incites conversation, continued conversation. Like we have with the movie Sinners. If you want to join us on TikTok, it's only happening on TikTok only, right? Um, Under my profile, Dr. Bianca Miss B. Lee, we are going to be dissecting and delineating the movie Sinners tonight. So please, 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 please join us. Like I said, it's on TikTok only. Join us. You do not want to miss it because, honey, I have been studying. I have been breaking this movie down in the most amazing way. Okay. And it because this project is that much of a masterpiece, it is to be studied. All right. Kugler, that man is from somewhere else. Okay. And we're grateful for him, along with Michael B. Jordan, which I just learned in my study that he's a Babalawow. Baba Lawal. He was raised in such a in the practice of Ifa, which is also a part of Yoruba. Man, listen, from birth, his mother raised him. Listen, y'all. Listen, y'all. It was so much resonance in this movie. Oh, the art that is this movie Sinners. Oh, I sat in that theater and was in tears. But today, we're not talking about this right now. We're talking about the book Cass. I could live in that conversation, okay? I could live there, right? And you'll be able to, if you join us tonight on TikTok, then you'll be able to see why I felt this so passionately, not just because it is a very true story, not so much the vampirism as it is the symbolism behind the vampires. Hello, somebody, okay? But it resonates deeply because my people, my blood people, are from the very area that they filmed this movie in. And that year, 1932, is the very year that the very first ancestor that appeared to me at the age of 15 is from. That's the year she was born. That is the year she was born. So when in the times that was depicted in that movie, you can drive to Clarksdale, Mississippi right now and still see some cotton fields. Just saying. Okay. My mom has returned back to Mississippi. My family went from Mississippi, Clarksdale, Mississippi, into Chicago during the Great Migration. Stop playing with me. This is. I said, did somebody talk to my family? Did Ryan interview my family for this story? Because, sir, I'm gonna need you not to be putting all our business out here in the streets. I'm just saying, at least get some consent, some signatures, something before you put our business in the street, because he told our story. I'm telling you. But anyway, join us tonight. TikTok, find me, and you'll see. Lock in, follow, because you don't want to miss it. And I would love to hear your voice. I want to hear what you got to say, because baby, Ryan, you are in your anointed bag, sir. Ancestral bag. You have been led by the great forefathers and foremothers. I'm here to tell you, okay? But anyway, I digress. We are reading through Caste, The Origins of Our Discontent, by the amazing author Isabel Wilkerson. Listen, this is not by happenstance, you all. When I tell you I love synchronicity, I love alignment, because the era that we're in right now, I really do believe we're in a modern day Jim Crow. I do believe it. I really do. Okay, my parents, they were young during the actual Jim Crow era. I believe we're in a modern day. However, and I know it's ugly. Yes, it's quite ugly. It is very uncomfortable. Um, it is triggering for sure. You see what's in the hearts of others and of ourselves. How far will we go? You know what I mean? How triggered can we get? How angry, and all of those things. I'm paying attention to my internal thermostat. I'm not gonna lie to you, because it's so triggering, right? We have to be mindful to ground ourselves constantly. We got to be mindful to mind our minds, our thoughts, our words, and even our feelings. We got to be so vigilant in this time. Um, there's an attack. There is an actual attack on um, marginalized people. There's an attack. Oh my God, there's such an attack. Our monuments, our history is continually trying to be wiped away. In our faces, like right in our faces. But this is why it's very imperative, people, to talk and share your own stories with your own people. Okay? Share the stories of the bloodline with your people, because um just because the books, and it's very difficult, it's very hard to watch and to know that the books and the websites and the museums and the monuments are being wiped away, right? This is nothing new for us. I hate to say it, but it's not. Our history has always been erased by others, okay? But you can never erase blood. I'm sorry. They can try. You can't erase DNA, baby. You can't erase our stripes, our scars, our memories. You can't erase that. So, people, I urge you, I urge you to speak, talk, share, talk to your family, talk to your children, pull your family together and share, because we are under attack, okay? We're under attack. Our history, our love, our light, our heart, our passions, our gifts, our minds are under attack, okay? So that's all right though. What Nipsey Hussle say? He said, stay dangerous, right? You know how you're dangerous? Not by weaponry. Your mind is your weapon. Your creativity is your weapon. Ooh, sinners. Y'all join us for the conversation tonight, please and thank you. Okay? That's your weapon. That's why. That's why. Trust me, if you were not a threat, if you were not a threat, they would not go this far. It would not be so much going on in the going on. Okay? If you were, your very presence is powerful. And that's my gift. I show you, I magnify that for you, shine a light on you, for you, so that you can walk in that, right? And get them something to cry about. Hello, somebody. All right. Anyway, let's get into the things, because, ooh, like I said, I was saying, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna go into the book. Yes, is very disheartening. The time that we're in right now, the times that we've been in. Come on, let's just not play coy here, right? Um, but we love our ancestors. Let me disclaim it with saying this: we love them. We love them. We honor them. We love them because we're standing on the shoulders of them. If not for their endurance and their strength and their fortitude and their wherewithal, oh my goodness, we wouldn't be here. Point blank, period. But also, because two things can be true at the same time, what we will not ever do anymore is back down, bow down, lay down, okay, without tearing something else down with us. Okay? That's the time we in right now. Pluto went into Aquarius the week after the election, you all. Huh? Pluto went into Aquarius the week after the election. If you know, you know, Pluto is the planet of transformation. Okay? Turning ish out, flipping tables over, like Christ did. Christ said, listen, I am love and light, but I'm also trick or fight. What's up? What's up? Because that's the duality right there. That's the oneness of all. That is the oneness of all. I am light and dark. Okay, I'm light and dark. That's the whole of me. What's up? Dare to awaken her, because I'm here for it all. What's up? Pluto came to change some things, flip some things upside down. Aquarius is the sign of freedom, liberation, the people, community, and also technology. That right there says that there is going to be a change, a transformation in who has the power, in who's gonna be the ones that's gonna be in charge. The last time Pluto went into Aquarius, every time historically that Pluto went into Aquarius, it sat there for no less than 20 years. Okay, no less than 20 years, but it also waged a revolutionary war against who? Against the government, against the powers that be, quote unquote. And the power was always transferred back into the hands of the people. So please count it all joy. Please don't get weary. This is not the day nor the hour to become a punk. Weak. This ain't that. Now is the time to gird up, tighten up, understand and remember who you are. That's where we are right now in this day and this time. Right? This is the time. Gird yourself up, tighten up, step in your God body, and move forward. Okay? This is the FAF, what is it? O era, FAFO. If you know, you know. FAF, hashtag FAFO. That's the time we in. F around and find out. This is where we at. Hashtag FAFO. This is the F around and find out era. Okay? So, hey, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Now, we're reading this book, Caste. Like I said, I always introduce books that are presented to me, and I never, ever read them beforehand. But I'm going to tell you about the perfect timing. I love the alignment of spirit. I love the synchronicity of spirit because it's always the right time. Always the right time. Okay? So we're entering part 2, chapter 6 of the book Caste, the origins of our discontents. We need this book. We need this information. We need the movie Sinners. We need it. We need it. We need it. We need it for this time that we're in right now. There's nothing by happenstance. Nothing at all. Okay? Take it in, people. Gird yourself up because we are at war. Right? But the way we fight it's being different. It's being differed. It's being transformed. Okay? All righty, here we go. Chapter 6, the measure of humanity. In a parallel universe with laws of nature similar to our own, a conquering people with powerful weaponry journeyed across the oceans and discovered people who looked different from themselves. They were startled to chance upon humans who towered above them, were taller than any humans they had ever seen before. They did not know what to make of this discovery. They had thought of and measured themselves as the standard for human existence. But the indigenous people they saw were at the outer limits of a particular human trait, their height. Even the women averaged over 6 feet. Some of the men approached 7. The well armed explorers were the opposite. Their weapons were deadly and their bodies were closer to the ground. At this moment in human history, as the world was being claimed by competing tribes of the well armed, two peoples who were at the extremes of a highly visible yet arbitrary human characteristic, being tall or short, were confronting each other for the first time. A tribe of the shortest humans were now face to face with the tallest. Those with the most advanced weapons prevailed and found use for the tallest people. They decided to transport them to the new world they were creating. They joined forces with other shorts around the world with whom they made common cause. With their superior guns and stratagems, they conquered the talls, captured and enslaved them for a quarter millennium, and built a great democracy. They told themselves the talls deserved no better, that they were uncultured, backward, inferior, had not made use of their strengths and resources. They were an altogether different species, born to serve the conquerors, deserving of their debasement. They were a separate and subordinate race. This story of conquest sounds preposterous to our ears, not because it did not happen, but because of the seeming absurdity of height as a means of categorizing humanity and determining race. We could have been divided up by any number of other traits, and yet height, like skin pigment, is overwhelmingly an inherited trait controlled by as much as 80% of one's genes and fairly consistent in family and tribal groupings. As with the pigment of skin, height falls within a wide range among the adults in the species, with most people in the middle and with extremes at the poles, from a maximum of 7 feet for adults to a minimum of under 4 feet. Were height the measure for determining race, as arbitrary as a measure as any and less arbitrary than some, the Dutch people of the Netherlands would be the same race as the Nilote people of South Sudan or the Tutsis of Rwanda, as they are all among the tallest in our species, even the women averaging well over 6 feet. On the other end, the Pygmies and Sardinians would be their own separate race, quote unquote, race, as they have historically been among the shortest humans. And current caste behavior were any guide, if current caste behavior were any guide, everyone else would be in the middle, perhaps playing up to whichever height was in power, wearing platform heels if the tall people ruled, bragging that height ran in their families, choosing the tallest people to date and to marry to gain the advantages of the ruling caste. Stereotypes would calcify, as they already do for extremes in height, but magnify to justify the lowly or elevated position of whichever group was in power. In a caste system dominated by short people, anyone in the subordinate race of tall people would be dismissed merely as brawn, consigned to menial servile positions, seen as good only for entertainment or servitude. Short people would be seen as born to leadership due to their presumed innate intellect and culture, admired for the longevity said to attend people smaller in stature, regarded as the standard of beauty, the default setting for human. Tall people would be made to feel insecure and self conscious, gangly and unappealing, having been born at the opposite end of the ideal. Society would assume that any tall person was good at sports and physical labor, whether or not he or she had interest or aptitude. Scientists might devise tests to measure the difference between talls and shorts beyond height alone, tests that would largely track the results of generations of either advantage or exclusion, and likely affirm widely held assumptions about the shorts' inherent supremacy and the tall's misfortune of deficits. There would be few tall people in the boardrooms and corridors of power, and a disproportionate number of them in prisons and on the streets. Being tall would become shorthand for inferior in a caste system ruled by short people, and vice versa. Ludicrous though it may sound to us now, had height been the means of categorizing humans for centuries, as it has been for skin color and facial features, People would have accepted it as the received wisdom of the laws of nature. It would have seemed ridiculous that in an alternate universe, people would ever be divided by color, given that clearly it would have been obvious that height was the determining factor in beauty, intelligence, leadership, and supremacy. The idea of linking disparate groups together on the basis of their arbitrary shared characteristics of being extremely tall or short sounds farcical to us, but only because this characteristic is not the one that has been used to divide humans into seemingly immutable races. The idea of race is a recent phenomenon in human history. It dates to the start of the transatlantic slave trade and thus to the subsequent caste system that arose from slavery. The word race likely derived from the Spanish word raza and was originally used to refer to the caste or quality of authentic horses, which are branded with an iron so as to be recognized, wrote the anthropologists Audrey and Brian Smedley. As Europeans explored the world, they began using the word to refer to the new people they encountered. Ultimately, the English in North America developed the most rigid and exclusionist word form of race ideology. The Smedleys wrote, race in the American mind was and is a statement about profound and unbridgeable differences. It conveys the meaning of social distance that cannot be transcended. Geneticists and anthropologists have long seen race as a man made invention with no basis in science or biology. The 19th century anthropologist Paul Bracco tried to use 34 shades of skin color to delineate the races, but could come to no conclusion. If all the humans on the planet were lined up by a single physical trait, say height or color, in ascending and descending order, tallest to shortest, darkest to lightest, it would confound us to choose the line between those arbitrary divisions. One human would blend into the next, and it would be nearly impossible to make the cutoff between, say, the San people of South Africa and the indigenous people along the Maranon River in Peru, who are scientifically measured to be the same color, even though they live thousands of miles apart and do not share the same immediate ancestry. As a window into the random nature of these categories, the use of the term Caucasian to label people descended from Europe is a relatively new and arbitrary practice in human history. The word was not passed down from the ancients, but rather sprang from the mind of a German professor of medicine, Johann Friedrich Blumenbach, in 1795. Blumenbach spent decades studying and measuring human skulls, the foreheads, the jawbones, and eye sockets in an attempt to classify the varied varieties of humankind. He coined the term Caucasian on the basis of a favorite skull of his that had come into his possession from the Caucasus Mountains of Russia. To him, the skull was the most beautiful of all that he owned. So he gave the group to which he belonged, the Europeans, the same name as the region that had produced it. That is how people now identified as white got the scientific sounding yet random name Caucasian. More than a century later, in 1914, a citizenship trial was underway in America over whether a Syrian could be a Caucasian and thus white, which led an expert witness in the case to say of Blumenbach's confusion and fateful discovery, never has a single head done more harm to science. That's the statement. Never has a single head done more harm to science. The epic mapping of the human genome and the quieter, long dreamt of results of DNA kits ordered in time for a family reunion have shown us that race, as we have come to know, it is not real. It's true. It's true. Now that, Ancestry.com or, 23andMe is out, we now see, if you've done that, then you see that you are a mix of everything pretty much. Okay. It is a fiction told by modern humans for so long that it has come to be seen as a sacred truth. 2 decades ago, analysis of the human genome established that all human beings are 99.9% the same. Race is a social concept, not a scientific one, said J. Craig Venter, the genetist who ran Celeria Genomics. when the mapping was completed in 2000. We all evolved in the last 100,000 years from the small number of tribes that migrated out of Africa and colonized the world, which means that an entire racial caste system, the catalyst of hatreds and civil war, was built on what the anthropologist Ashley Montagu called an arbitrary and superficial selection of traits derived from a few of the thousands of genes that make up a human being. The idea of race, Montague wrote, was in fact the deliberate creation of an exploiting class seeking to maintain and defend its privileges against what was profitably regarded as an inferior caste. We accept the illogic of race because these are the things we have been told. We see a person with skin that is whiter than that of most white people, and we accept that they are not white and thus of a different category because of the minutest difference in the folds of their eyelids, and because perhaps their great grandparents were born in Japan. We see a person whose skin is espresso darker than most black people in Africa and accept that he is, in fact, not black, absolutely not black, and is thus a completely separate category because his hair has a looser curl and perhaps he was born in Madagascar. We have to be taught this illogic. Small children who have yet to learn the rules will describe people as they see them, not by the political designation of Black, white, Asian, or Latino, until adults correct them to use the proper caste designation to make the irrational sound reasoned. Color is a fact, race is a social construct. We think we see race when we encounter certain physical differences among people, such as skin color, eye shape, and hair texture, the Smedleys wrote. What we actually see are the learned social meanings, the stereotypes that have been linked to those physical features by the ideology of race and the historical legacy it has left us. And yet, observed the historian Neil Irvin Painter, Americans cling to race as the unschooled cling to superstition. The word caste, which has become synonymous with India, did not, it turns out, originate in India. It comes from the Portuguese word casta, a Renaissance era word for race or breed. The Portuguese, who were among the earliest European traders in South Asia, applied the term to the people of India upon observing Hindu divisions. Thus, a word we now ascribe to India actually arose from Europeans' interpretation of what they saw. It sprang from the Western culture that created America. The Indian concept of rankings, however, goes back millennia and is thousands of years older than the European concept of race. The rankings were originally known as varnas, the ancient term for the major categories in which Indians have in recent centuries called the caste system. The human impulse to create hierarchies runs across societies and cultures, predates the idea of race, and thus is farther reaching, deeper, and older than raw racism, the comparatively new division of humans by skin color. Before Europeans expanded to the new world and collided with people who looked different from themselves, the concept of racism as we know it did not exist in Western culture. Racism is a modern conception, wrote the historian Dante Puzzo. For prior to the I don't know what this is, X5, XV1 century, whichever one century that is, there was virtually nothing in the life and thought of the West that can be described as racist. What is XV1? XVI, XVI. I'm not sure what century that was, but prior to that century, there was virtually nothing in the life and thought of the West that can be described as racist. Going to the next section entitled The R Word. What we face in our current day is not the classical racism of our forefathers' era, but a mutation of the software that adjusts to the updated needs of the operating system. In the half century since civil rights protests forced the United States into making state sanctioned discrimination illegal, what Americans consider to be racism has shifted. And now the word is one of the most contentious and misunderstood in recent in American culture. For the dominant caste, the word is radioactive, resented, feared, denied, lobbed back toward anyone who dares to suggest it. Resistance to the word would often derail any discussion of the underlying behavior it is meant to describe, thus eroding it of meaning. Social scientists often define racism as the combination of racial bias and systemic power, seeing racism, like sexism, as primarily the action of people or systems with personal or group power over another person or group with less power, as men have power over women, whites over people of color, and the dominant over the subordinate. But over time, racism has often been reduced to a feeling, a character flaw, conflated with prejudice, connected to whether one is a good person or not. It has come to mean overt and declared hatred of a person or group because of the race ascribed to them, a perspective few would ever own up to. While people will admit to or call out sexism or xenophobia or homophobia, people may immediately deflect accusations of racism, saying they don't have a racist bone in their body or are the least racist person you could ever meet, that they don't see color, that their best friend is black. And they may have ever even convinced themselves as a conscious level of these things. What does racist mean in an era when even extremists won't admit to it? What is the litmus test for racism? Who is racist in society where someone can refuse to rent to people of color, arrest brown immigrants in mass, or display a Confederate flag, but not be certified, quote unquote, as a racist unless he or she confesses to it or is caught using derogatory signage or slurs? The fixation with smoking out individual races or sexes can seem a losing battle in which we fool ourselves into thinking we are rooting out injustice by forcing an admission that A, is not likely to come, B, keeps the focus on a single individual rather than the system that created that individual, and C, gives cover for those who, by aiming at others, can present themselves as noble and bias free for having pointed the finger first, all of which keeps the hierarchy intact. Oddly enough, the instinctive desire to reject the very idea of current discrimination on the basis of a chemical compound in the skin is an unconscious admission of the absurdity of race as a concept. This is not to say that the consequences of this social construct are not real or that abuses should not be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. It is to say that the word racism may not stand as the only term or the most useful term to describe the phenomena and tensions we experience in our era. Rather than deploying racism as an either or accusation against an individual, it may be more constructive to focus on derogatory actions that harm a less powerful group rather than on what is commonly seen as an easily deniable, impossible to measure attribute. With no universally agreed upon definition, we might see racism as a continuum rather than an absolute. We might release ourselves of the purity test of whether someone is or is not racist and exchange that mindset for one that sees people as existing on a scale based on the toxins they have absorbed from the polluted and inescapable air of social instructions we receive from childhood. Caste, on the other hand, predates the notion of race and has survived the era of formal state-sponsored racism that had long been open in practice in the mainstream. The modern day version of easily deniable racism may be able to cloak the invisible structure that created and maintains hierarchy and inequality. But caste does not allow us to ignore structure. Caste is structure. Caste is ranking. Caste is the boundaries that reinforce the fixed assignments based upon which what people look like. Caste is a living, breathing entity. It is like a corporation that seeks to sustain itself at all costs. To achieve a truly egalitarian world requires looking deeper than what we think we see. We cannot win against a hologram. Caste is the granting or withholding of respect, status, honor, attention, privileges, resources, benefit of the doubt, and human kindness to someone on the basis of their perceived rank or standing in the hierarchy. Caste pushes back against an African American woman who, without humor or apology, takes a seat at the head of the table speaking Russian. It prefers an Asian American man to put his technological expertise at the service of the company, but not aspire to CEO. Yet it sees as logical a 16-year-old white teenager serving as store manager over employees from the subordinate caste 3 times his age. Caste is insidious and therefore powerful because it is not hatred. It is not necessarily personal. It is the worn grooves of comforting routines and unthinking expectations, patterns of a social order that have been in place for so long that it looks like the natural order of things. What is the difference between racism and casteism? Because caste and race are interwoven in America, it can be hard to separate the two. Any action or institution that mocks, harms, assumes, or attaches inferiority or stereotype on the basis of the social construct of race can be considered racism. Any action or construct that seeks to limit, hold back, or put someone in a defined ranking seeks to keep someone in their place by elevating or denigrating that person on the basis of their perceived category can be seen as casteism. Casteism is the investment in keeping the hierarchy as it is in order to maintain your own ranking, advantage, privilege, or to elevate yourself above others or keep others beneath you. For those in the marginalized castes, casteism can mean seeking to keep those on your disfavored rung from gaining on you, to curry the favor and remain in the good graces of the dominant caste, all of which serve to keep the structure intact. In the United States, racism and casteism frequently occur at the same time or overlap or figure into the same scenario. Casteism is about positioning and restricting those positions vis a vis others. What race and its precursor, racism, do extraordinarily well is to confuse and distract from the underlying structural and more powerful Sith Lord of caste. Like the cast on a broken arm, like the cast in a play, a caste system holds everyone in a fixed place. For this reason, many people, including those we might see as good and kind people, could be castists, meaning invested in keeping the hierarchy as it is or content to do nothing to change it, but not racist in the classical sense, not active and openly hateful of this or that group. Actual racists, actual haters would by definition be castists, as their hatred demands that those they perceive as beneath them know and keep their place in the hierarchy. In everyday terms, it is not racism that prompts a white shopper in a clothing store to go up to a random black or brown person who is also shopping and to ask for a sweater in a different size, or for a white guest at a party to ask a black or brown person who is also a guest to fetch them a drink, as happened to Barack Obama as a state senator, or even perhaps a judge to sentence a subordinate caste person for an offense for which a dominant caste person might not even be charged. It is caste, or rather the policing of and adherence to the caste system. It's the autonomic, unconscious, reflexive response to expectations from a thousand imaging inputs and neurological societal downloads that affix people to certain roles based upon what they look like and what they historically have been assigned to, or the characteristics and stereotypes by which they have been categorized. No ethnic or racial category is immune to the messaging we all receive about hierarchy, and thus no one escapes its consequences. What some people call racism could be seen as merely one manifestation of the degree to which we have internalized the larger American caste system, a measure of how much we ascribe to it and how deeply we uphold it, act upon it, and enforce it, often unconsciously in our daily lives. When we assume that the woman is not equipped to lead the meeting or the company or the country, or that a person of color or an immigrant could not be the one in authority, is not a resident of certain communities, could not have attended a particular school or deserve to have attended a particular school, when we feel a pang of shock and resentment, a personal wounding and sense of unfairness, and perhaps even shame at our discomfort upon seeing someone from a marginalized group in a job or car or house or college or appointment from prestigious more appointment more prestigious than we have when we have been led, forgive me, Clubhouse, We have been led to expect when we assume that the senior citizen should be playing a parcheesi rather than developing software. We are reflecting the efficient encoding of caste, the subconscious recognition that the person has stepped out of his or her assumed place in our society. We are responding to our embedded instructions of who should be where and who should be doing what, the breaching of the structure and boundaries that are the hallmarks of caste. Race and caste are not the cause and do not account for every poor outcome or unpleasant encounter. But caste becomes a factor to whatever infinitesimal degree in interactions and decisions across gender, ethnicity, race, immigrant status, sexual orientation, age, or religion that have consequences in our everyday lives and in policies that affect our country and beyond. It may not be as all consuming as its targets may perceive it to be, but neither is the ancient relic, the long ago anachronism that post racialists, post haters of everything keep wishing away. Its invisibility is what gives it power and longevity. Caste, along with its faithful servant race, is an X factor in most any American equation, and any answer one might ever come up with to address our current challenges is flawed without it. My goodness, my goodness, my goodness, my goodness, my goodness, you all. And I'm so glad in that chapter she broke it down. She broke down the differences between racism and caste. That is something. And it's eye opening because she says, listen, this is something that we have all agreed to, quote unquote, by way of our subliminally just going along with it. We just go along to get along. We've been trained to do this, y'all. Oh my goodness. I cannot count how many times, even as a child, coming up, and I heard elders say, you know, hey, when you get around certain people, you make sure you keep your head down. You make sure you don't talk to make sure you or keep when you're driving in the car, keep your hand on the steering wheel, 10 and 2. Look straight ahead, make sure you never know. You know what I'm saying? Right now today, because for a very long time, even today, our brown and black men and boys, come on, Tamir Rice, Trayvon Martin, you know what I'm saying? And so Mike Brown and George Floyd. This is oh my goodness. Yeah, these are the fibers. These are the fibers in the tapestry in this country that we live in. It is very heartbreaking, but we cannot heal what we won't reveal, man. We can't heal what we can't not openly what we cannot openly talk about. We gotta talk about it. We gotta have these hard conversations. That's why I said you gotta talk. You must talk, 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 talk. Pull your families together and have these conversations because this is happening right now. I don't care what area you stay in. I don't care what state you live in. I don't care. I don't care. Tennessee just passed a law where the doctors can deny you service if they deem that you're undeserving. I.e., say for instance, if they don't agree with your lifestyle choice and your sexual orientation, they can deny you service. It's to their discretion. Okay. So if they're a Christian nationalist, then what? Right? They can deny you surgery. They can deny you medicine. What if they are racist and they don't really care for minority and marginalized people? They can deny you service. If you're with a life partner, you're not married, you're just living together and things like that, and they don't agree with shacking, so to speak, they can deny you service. It just happened. Tennessee, it just happened like days ago. These are the times that we're in. These are the times that we're in. These are the times that we're in. I beg of you, have conversations, people. Have conversations. Pull your children, pull your families, pull your siblings, pull your parents. Talk. Because again, they cannot erase truth that you share with one another. They can't erase that. It's unfortunate, but they can do away with the books. They can do away with the all of the historical written his story. They can do away with that stuff. But they cannot do away with truth that is shared within your bloodline, within your family. If you share nothing else, share the stories of you, share the stories of your blood. But we got to get back to the days where we're having conversation, where the elders are schooling the young ones in the family. We got to return there. We must. All of that, no, we don't talk about that, and we don't bring that up, and we don't. That's the problem now. That's why the Bible refers to the scripture that says the people perish for the lack of because of the lack of knowledge. Absolutely, they can kill you because no one gave you the tool and the weapon of knowledge and information. Yeah, absolutely. Y'all, we need to gird up. That's all I got to say about it. We got to gird up. We got to gird up. We got to gird up and tap back into the ancestors. Tap back into the bloodline that we came from. Come on now. Come on now. Tap into it. Get to know yourself. Get to know who you are, not who somebody told you to be. Day is over for that. That no longer, no, that's not working. It no longer suffices. Gird up. Center yourself. Learn who you are. Stand in who you are, and then demonstrate from who you are. Okay? Alrighty, you all. The next time we come together, we'll be reading chapters 7 and 8. Okay, that is Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Same station. Okay, I'm inviting you to come join me on TikTok tonight. It's at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know. For those on the East Coast and Central, I know it seems to be late, but we want to get everybody in. Okay, in all time zones. So join me, because we're going to be breaking down sinners, and we're going to be talking about a lot that also this book entails. We're going to be talking about that, okay? Ooh, that movie was amazing. It was a freaking masterpiece, man. Ryan Coogler is that one. He is that one. He's going to press the envelope. And the business deal that he coined. Come on now. Ooh, we're going to get into the things tonight. Make sure y'all follow me there, okay? Now, listen, you all. This book, I have this book in PDF form for you. Free of charge. You don't have to pay me for it. Yes, we are a nonprofit organization. Yes, we are 501c3. Yes, we do accept donations. However, they are not required. They're welcome. They're not required. So if you want your copy in PDF form, please email me or send me a message. I'll send it over to you myself, okay? Send me a message. You can either send me a message on this platform, whatever platform you're watching from, because we're on Clubhouse, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. We're everywhere right now, okay? Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm so grateful that you're here, okay? If you want the copy, message me. Email me. You can email me at info@biancamissblee.com on Clubhouse. My website is right above my head. You can tap there and then go straight to my website, okay? Speaking of website, for all those who are watching via video, my website address is on the screen. It's also in the captions, okay? So, and it's in my bio as well, wherever you're watching from. It's in the bio. So, wherever you're watching from, get there, request the book, and then go to the website and you can see everything that I have there. Again, we have all of the updated astrology placements and transits. Let's see. We are on another focus in our weekly shadow work, inner child healing. Definitely doing that. I think let me go to the focus for this week. The focus for this week with our inner child work is what unacknowledged hurts are still affecting me. What unacknowledged hurts are still affecting me. So this week, we're shining a light on what unacknowledged hurts are still affecting me. Okay, so I invited you to join me for a gentle journey of self-reflection. It's time to release what no longer serves us. Okay? It's time to release what no longer serves us. So be sure to go to the website so that you can get that message, get the exercise to work throughout the week. Every week we have a new focus for that childhood trauma and healing that inner child unresolved matters. Okay, things that are besetting us in our adult age. Okay, things that we need to free ourselves from so that we can actually live freely, love freely, laugh freely, know what true happiness is. Seriously, okay? Live, love, laugh. No pun intended, okay? No cliche intended, but really, truly get there. Get there. And then you can then spread it out to others like a beautiful contagion, okay? Alrighty. Also follow me on social media, you all. I'm everywhere. Dr. Bianca Miss B. Lee. Follow me everywhere, Dr. Bianca Miss B. Lee. Okay? Alrighty, you all. We'll see you back here on Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Right here on Voices of Empowerment. I love you. I mean it. There is absolutely positively nothing you can do about it. Don't you even try it. It ain't going to work anyway, okay? We'll see you back here on Sunday. Peace.